Hey guys, how we doing? Back in another video from Mother's Basement. Me and my girlfriend were up till like 3 o'clock in the morning last night watching Mob Psycho Season 2 because it is so good. It is amazing. And I've gone onto Mother's Basement's channel and here's a video which is my favourite anime, Mob Psycho 100. And in the description it's like him saying how it is his all-time favourite thing, and I absolutely love it. And I always thought that like One Punch Man was up there on my top animes, but I'm watching Season 2 of One Punch Man, I'm watching Season 2 of Mob Psycho, and I'm like, Mob Psycho is just incredible, man. There's so much depth to it, and it's just awesome. The visuals and the characters, just everything's just like, if you've not seen Mob Psycho, check it out. So let's see why Mother's Basement seems to think it's his favourite anime.
There are dozens of anime that I love to pieces that speak to me on a deeply personal level that I would recommend to anyone who asks and go to bat for in the blink of an eye. If I didn't have a lot of room in my heart for a wide variety of shows and movies, I don't think that I could do this job. But no matter how much space there is in there, there's only ever been room for one anime at the very top.
And what was that?
For 8 years, that spot has been held by one show. Anohana, the flower we saw that day, was my favorite anime of all time.
I have not seen that.
It would really take a whole video to explain why, but I'm not making that video today, because on January 8th, 2018, another show challenged its supremacy, and after a month of mulling everything over and one of the most incredible single episodes of anime I've ever laid eyes on, I realized it had been usurped. Anohana was now my second favorite show, and into first place had stepped Mob Psycho 100.
It's so good.
What's really wild
is
that this kinda snuck up on me. I loved the first season of Mob when it aired in summer 2016, but the endless march of seasonal anime coupled with a daily life that was becoming increasingly busy as this turned into my full-time career, it all kinda pushed Mob Psycho into the back of my mind.
Blurs into one,
While
doesn't
I
it?
have made a few videos about it since then, outside of the time that I was working on those and the time I spent binging the manga when it finally ended, I haven't really given Mob much thought. I haven't been able to. Considering how fast the discussion around anime moves and how many new, often great series
oh my god, Megalobox was incredible when that came out.
There's always been something else that I needed to think about. When I threw together my 3x3 for Twitter on a whim last year, I didn't even think to include it. But that's not to say that I forgot about Mob. Scenes and ideas from the series have been playing in my subconscious for the last 2 years, leaking out as stray thoughts about one sensei's approach to character development and his place in the canon of great manga writers, comparisons to current obsessions like My Hero Academia, Recreators, and Planet With, and a tendency to jam out to 99 by Mob Choir at least once a week. And after 2 years of waiting, when I watched the triumphant first episode of Season 2, all of those feelings that had built up came flooding out.
So much emotional stuff going on in this season.
If you watch the show, you already know.
The milk.
Like an epiphany, all of the tiny things that I appreciate about Mob came into view all at once. And suddenly, for the first time, I was seeing the full picture of how much this anime had come to mean to me, and just how many things I really love about it. Today, I'd like to talk about some of those things and speak a bit about how this show spoke to me. That's going to involve spoiling some things up to episode 7 of the anime, so although Mob is
perfectly fine, finished it, I'm cool with this.
Ruined by spoilers, if you're not caught up, consider yourselves warned.
You need to watch it.
If you're not familiar with the story already, Mob Psycho 100 is about a young boy named Shigeo Kageyama, who goes by the name Mob, who has incredible psychic abilities that become stronger when he's in a heightened
incredible is
an
understatement.
Because he fears inconveniencing or hurting others with these powers, he tries to keep his emotions suppressed most of the time, which leads to him being socially awkward and feeling like an outcast, and having extreme outbursts at the worst possible moments. Mob spends most of his free time working for Reagan Arataka,
he's so cool.
A fraudulent spirit medium with no psychic abilities whatsoever, who uses the mystique of the supernatural mostly as a marketing tool to sell people on discount therapy and massages. On occasion, he does run into actual ghosts and evil spirits, and it's Mob's job to mop those up. I've always found the idea of occult scams and the performative flim-flammery that goes with them to be hilarious. Psych is probably my all-time favorite TV comedy. But at the same time, I've always been fascinated with stories about psychic powers. especially anime
Akira.
and manga about espers. When I was younger, I ate that stuff up. So through its premise alone, Mob Psycho was already well positioned to become an instant favorite for me.
Right.
And it executes on that promising premise almost perfectly. Mob Psycho 100 is really the complete anime package, or at least the complete package of everything that I look for in anime.
It's got
My
action.
favorite genres are shonen
comedy.
action, comedy,
There you
and
go.
slice of life drama,
Yeah, it's got
and
it all.
Mob Psycho simultaneously executes on everything I love about all three better than most anime handle them individually. I've gone to lengths explaining how brilliant just one of its jokes is, and its surreal tone and wry character writing consistently crack me up.
Well, you know what they say, yesterday's enemy could be today's friend. You want a shake? What are you doing? Stop! Wait!
But more than that,
Oh
it's
god,
the
I've not even
show's
watched the dub.
impeccable sense of visual comedy that really gets me going. When it wants to be, Mob Psycho is as frenetic and zany as a Looney Tunes
It can go
short.
crazy,
Not
man.
only does it turn the exaggerated reaction style of comedy we commonly see in anime up to 11, but it manages to wring humor out of characters' body language and mannerisms. Reagan is basically doing the Oregairu bullshit hand-talking bit all the time.
Yep.
I've got this! Soul Slash!
And, of course, it's got a fair bit of slapstick. Novel shot compositions and clever edits and transitions add a lot of visual energy to the show's cinematic
in this is so
presentation as well.
good.
The mob isn't afraid to shift styles or even bring in entirely new mediums of animation in order to help a joke land. At the same time, because it understands
just
its
jokes as well, though.
characters so well, Mob Psycho is just as deft at landing emotional blows as it is punchlines.
There we go.
Season 5 has already brought tears to my eyes 3 times, and none of them were achieved through cheap tricks like killing characters off. Mob induces those tears mostly through our sympathy for the emotional growing pains that its characters experience. In the last 2-episode arc, for instance, we see Reagan push Mob away by failing to recognize his disciples' growth, and as a result of that, he has to grapple with his own feelings of loneliness and inadequacy for the first time. He goes down a dark path after realizing he has no friends, all but loses his business and reputation in the process, and by the time he realizes that he's only really in the psychic consultation game because of his admiration for Mob, the lie about his spiritual powers that was keeping Mob around has been exposed. But then comes the revelation that Mob saw through Reagan's flimsy, obvious lies a long time ago, and never really cared because he could see that his master is still a great guy at heart. And that really hit me. Obviously, I and most other people can't directly relate to being a fake psychic who's tricking a real psychic into believing he has powers so that he'll help him, but I think everyone's felt lonely and isolated at some point in their lives, and I think most people have experienced some kind of anxiety about a close friend coming to hate them because of a mistake or a secret. And hopefully all, or at least most of those people, felt relief when those fears proved to be unfounded. My existing investment in Mob and Reagan's relationship made me care about the outcome of the scene, but that nugget of truth at the center of it is what made the story resonate with me. It's not often that an anime can make me sad enough to tear up, but it's rarer still for one to make me cry with a relieved smile. And Mob manages to wring those kinds of odd emotional responses out of me with astonishing regularity. Following the jaw-dropping brawl that closes out episode 5 of season 2, itself the conclusion to a rough arc that explores how bullying and loneliness can hurt and change people, there's this moment where a flippant, bitchy teenage girl offers a tearful apology for how awful she's been, and Mob forgives her without a thought. I don't know, that gentle, genuine kindness that he shows is just beautiful.
He's so nice.
There's a lot in this show that's so beautiful that it just makes me want to tear up. And yeah, that's probably a weird way to look at an action comedy, but Mob just nails that delicate coming-of-age angst. Now, as far as the action goes, I mean, the episode I was just talking about managed to give the Broly movie I saw the day before a run for its feature film. Mob has some of the best directed, most stunningly animated fights in anime, period. The manga's simple, rough art style naturally lends itself to wild fight scenes with lots of moving parts, and even relatively unimportant filler battles like the Dragger or Wiggly figure are given a 5-star Sakuga treatment with complex camera work and choreography.
When Dimple takes over that guy's body, it's just like, whoa.
Serious shonen battle anime, and in a way, I think it's helped in its fight scenes by the fact that it is a comedy. When fights break out in most anime, the goal of the animators is to make them feel as cool and exciting as possible, which means, in general, they need to avoid looking goofy. But Mob doesn't have to worry about that as much, since we expect it to look goofy, and that affords it a
that was funny with the guy in the red hood.
The animators are able to work a little more loosely, exaggerate things a bit more than they would in, say, Naruto or My Hero Academia, and bend the laws of physics a bit without yanking viewers out of the experience. But for all of the flair and panache with which it presents violence, Mob Psycho 100 is, at its heart, a story rooted in pacifism. For all that he changes throughout the series run, one of the things that Mob never budges on is his refusal to use his powers against other people unless they're posing a direct danger to him or his friends and family.
Unless needed to.
The first fight against Law is that trying to use force to impose your will on others and thinking that your ability to do so makes you better than them is fundamentally childish. And with Reagan's help, Mob is able to find a better way of counteracting that attitude than simply fighting back. Over the course of the series, we learn that psychic powers are rooted in powerful emotions. So it follows that the reason Mob is so powerful is that he's a sensitive, emotional kid. And it's that trait, not the power that it gives him, that proves to be Mob's greatest strength as the anime and manga go on, because it allows him to empathize with others, understand their points of view, and communicate his own views to them. That's how Mob approaches basically every conflict he's in, though at the start he's not very good at it. But that's the thing. Instead of becoming better at shooting psi beams or teleporting or other psychic nonsense, that ability to change minds is the main skill that we see Mob hone and develop as the story progresses and the action escalates. Or de-escalates, if he has anything to say about it, though often he does have to defend himself in order to be able to get a word
and it looks incredible.
And show his enemies the error of their ways. And I love that about this show. It rejects the might makes right undertones of the shonen battle formula, which can be interesting but get pretty boring when they're the only themes you see action anime explore, and it does so without sacrificing the things that make those battle-driven shows fun. The animators get to flex their muscles with some crazy explosions and cool flips and punches and kicks and whatnot, but those elements don't take over the narrative, and they also get to flex their muscles when it comes to character acting and comedy.
You did this on purpose, didn't you? It was an accident.
You're dead!
In fact, many of Mob's strongest episodes don't involve much in the way of action at all.
That doesn't seem too bad.
Of the series
I still prefer the Japanese
side plots and the development of its characters. Almost every member of Mob Psycho 100's supporting cast has an innate appeal to them as soon as they're introduced, and they only become more lovable the more we get to know them.
Oh, the running club.
It goes without saying that Reigen Arataka is the breakout star of the series. He's the kind of affable, smooth-talking guy who can instantly get you to like him, but it's shown time and again that underneath his con-man affectations beats a heart of genuine 24-karat gold. He's got an uncanny knack for telling people what they want to hear, but most of the time he sneaks in nuggets of what they actually need to hear as well. And as the series goes on, he grows into a better and better mentor figure for Mob. Dimple comes off as being a lot slimier than Reigen at first. Well, he absolutely is. He's a con man too, but one who often acts with malicious intent.
He really cares about Mob near the end of it, though.
His own ego. But he's got his good points too.
Yeah.
He really believes his own hype, and by proxy, he believes in the words of encouragement that he offers to others as well. You get the sense that part of him genuinely cares for Mob, and it's a lot of fun to see his priorities shift as they become closer. Mob's relationship with his brother Ritsu really captures the ups and downs of sibling bonds, and
Mob's like, take over my body and look after it while I go in here. It's like, what?
Psychic bullshit.
There you go again, always bending spoons. You really need to stop doing that. It's a bad habit.
Oh, come now, my dear. Shigeo's going through puberty.
His friends in the Body Improvement Club are some of the most enthusiastic and supportive bros you'll ever see in anime, and the Telepathy Club that shares their room is a pack of lovable losers. From Masato to Emi, even the background characters at Salt Middle School have their own unique charms. Hell, even the school's delinquents are pretty swell guys when you get to know them.
Yeah, they
and
are.
As for the show's villains, they're an eclectic group of very unique characters who develop in interesting ways even after they're defeated. The least appealing character in the cast is probably Mob himself, who by his very nature lacks the charisma to immediately draw in fans of his own. He kind of relies on the colorful personalities of Reagan, Dimple, and everyone else around him to keep the audience interested in his adventures at first. But as the story progresses, slowly but surely, his gradual development and personal growth becomes the most compelling aspect of the show. Or at least it did for me. As I've said before, I was a shy, awkward, sensitive kid. Growing up, I had difficulty keeping my emotions in check and reading the atmosphere, and to a certain extent, I still do. Social anxiety is something I've grappled with my whole life, so I see a lot of myself in Mob and his journey, and I appreciate how thoughtful the series is in exploring why he might think or act the way that he does in any given moment, and in demonstrating exactly what pushes him to change. I find Mob's character arc to be both cathartic and inspiring because it reflects things that I've been through, but it also lays out perhaps a better way of dealing with things that I'm currently going through. It's not like I'm going to use one anime as a roadmap for my life philosophy or anything like that, but with each passing episode and chapter, I've found myself feeling more and more admiration for Mob as a character and thinking that it would be nice to be a bit more like him. I would really like to be more capable of supporting my friends, of letting things go, and of accepting what I can't change. There's a lot in this story that just resonates with me, and it's presented in a way that almost perfectly meshes with my tastes in entertainment. So, in that sense, it's not really all that surprising that it's become my favorite anime. And there's one other factor. Mob Psycho 100 was also the subject of one of my first proper sponsored videos. The trailer analysis that I made for Crunchyroll prompted my exposure to the franchise, and I know it probably comes off as either a bit weird or at least very on brand for me to have an emotional attachment to what is essentially a product that I shilled, but that was a turning point in a professional relationship that's brought me a lot of opportunities and connected me with some of my best friends in the world, many of whom are also big fans of Mob Psycho. It was also a project that taught me a lot about YouTube as a business and helped me get a handle on how I wanted to work with brands.
Cool.
So Mob is indelibly tied to an important milestone in my life and career, which are probably not as separate as they should be. And those small personal points of attachment that come from the unique context in which you view an anime are as important a factor in determining what becomes your favorite as any of that work's independent qualities. So I feel like it would be intellectually dishonest of me not to acknowledge the role that that experience played in my affection for the series. And who knows, in a different timeline where I'd been asked to cover, say, Sweetness and Lightning, maybe I wouldn't have put as much thought into Mob Psycho as I did, and maybe it would have ended up being one of the dozens of shows that I merely love. Maybe there's a timeline where I was asked to cover Berserk 2016 instead, and I quit anime YouTube forever. I feel like I was really lucky that my life took a path that led to me being deeply invested in this show, because I think it's done a lot of good for me, and as favorite anime go, I'd be hard-pressed to find one that demos better when I introduce friends to it. That combination of sakuga and comedic wit, plus the One Punch Man attachment, makes it an easy sell. Now, on that note, when I realized that I wanted to make this video about the series, I reached out to Crunchyroll and asked if they'd be interested in sponsoring it as well, and they agreed to do so. So, if you're not watching Mob Psycho 100 yet, and this video has convinced you to give it a shot, click the link in the doobly-doo to go watch it on Crunchyroll. And if you're not using Crunchyroll yet, well, all I can say is that you're missing out on a great streaming platform made by anime fans for anime fans. Not only do they have a massive library of anime available in high definition,
they really do,
the same day they air in Japan, including Mob Psycho, they also have a lot of great quality of life features that make it easy to find new shows to watch and keep track of what you're already watching, even when you jump to streaming through your game consoles or smart TV. If you want to try it out for yourself, you can head to crunchyroll.com/basement to get a 14-day free trial, which is plenty of time to binge all of Mob Psycho Season 1 and dive into Season 2. Now, I've just spent the last 15 minutes talking your ears off about my favorite anime, so it only makes sense to ask, what's your all-time favorite anime, and what makes it so great to you? I really want to start covering some older shows on this channel, so I may come back to these comments for a bit of guidance in the future.
Cool.
But until then, I'm Jeff Thu, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.
Cool. I highly recommend Mob Psycho, it's so good. It's so freaking good. So, yes, that was Mother's Basement's video on why Mob Psycho is his favourite anime. I am going to check out the What's in an OP video for Mob Psycho Season 2 as well. And then eventually get round to doing the Sword Art Online Alicization video. I still haven't finished Alicization, and that's a long video, it's 54 minutes long, so at some point this month. Well, until then, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below, let me know what I should watch or discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. So you guys, next time. Bye.